you're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
Sean Spicer, of course, former White House press secretary, also the host of the Sean Spicer Show. You can get it anywhere where you get your podcasts. It's a great show. Sean, we're so happy to have you on here with me and John, also Judge Richard Weinberg and Vito Fossella. You know, Sean, there is so much going on behind the scenes. First, I want to get your take on what we were actually talking, and John was like the first one talking about this, that Biden seems to be sabotaging Kamala because of the coup, the push out. What are your thoughts? There's now other people talking about it, too.
Yeah, well, first of all, great to be with you guys. Sounds like a full house in New York. I got to get up there and get in house.
By the way, you're welcome anytime, Sean. You got to come anytime.
You know,
We'd love to have you.
I was going to say,
Sean, you're always welcome.
Hang out with. Thank you, John. Well, look,
and Sean, I don't have a boss to go and ask.
Well, that's the best part. I was about to say, I got to imagine you probably got the best green room in all of media with, your access to the best food. So I got to get up there. See what John Catsimatidis puts in his green room.
Yeah, we don't fool around here. This is top notch, Sean.
No, John Catsimatidis doesn't do anything second rate. It's all top shelf with him. So, listen, I got to believe Biden was not excited about getting pushed out, right? We know that. He made it clear. He went on The View. He talked about this silliness that I kind of wanted to go. It was my idea and all this. But then he has suddenly started to sort of do these little jabs at Kamala. He held a press conference in the middle of her event the other day. They're making their displeasure known, right? Joe Biden, who normally should be way out there talking about what a great honor it is to have, Biden's vice president campaigning and doing things for her, having the first woman. Joe Biden has been MIA. Why is that? And I think it's because not only did they feel disrespected to get pushed out of the way, but Kamala hasn't done anything to use him, to pay respect to him. And I think that he's making his displeasure known. And it's amazing. I think that they are also keeping their distance because right now, as it looks like they're on their heels in these final 22 days. And my view is that the Biden folks want to say, we did what we were asked to do. We got out of the way and she blew it. Right? They don't want to they don't want to be tied too tight to that anchor because it's going down and they know it. And I think they want to try to preserve what little of Joe Biden's legacy they have left.
Judge Weinberg.
Sean, good to talk to you. Let me ask you this question. How does she run as the agent of change when she has no disagreements with any of the policies of the Biden-Harris administration? I'm confused. Please explain.
Well, Judge, I mean, look, that not only did she screw that question up on The View, but then Colbert asked her hours later when he went on her show, and she didn't have an answer. Here's the thing. This is a combination of a bad candidate and bad staffing. The idea that you don't have a simple answer, and I mean, look, I don't think it's tough, right? Anyone who's not the boss can say, look, it's Joe Biden. He's the president. I serve at his pleasure. It's an honor to do that. As you can see, I've rolled out several programs when Joe came into office. He was facing these challenges coming out of COVID. Obviously, we're in a different place. Here's what I would do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an easy question, frankly, and the idea that she can't answer it shows, A, her limitations as a candidate, and B, how bad this campaign really is, right? They don't trust her to say anything, but it's a simple question that every candidate gets. If you're running for class president, in the 8th grade, they say, hey, Timmy, what would you do different than we're doing now? And she couldn't answer the question. It really is pathetic. And I think, like I said, the worst part about it is after you make that kind of a flub, you get in the car, you're with your candidate, you say, okay, listen, we're going to Colbert. You get asked this again. Why don't you just say that, these tax cuts are different, your take on the economy, you believe that we need to invest more here, and that's different than how Joe's handled it. I love the guy, have his 100 respect. I mean, she's so afraid to make a decision. And the best part about this is coming out of the convention, she had this sugar high. And I like to say people were Kamala curious. They were like, I don't know this woman. I may have an issue with some of the ways that Trump says stuff. And let me look at her, give her a chance. And she has given people no reason to vote for her. Not only that, I think she's turned them off. And they've said, you know what? I wanted to give her a chance. I know Trump's record. I know the results he got. That was pretty darn good. I want to go back to that. And she keeps saying, I want to turn the page. I'm like, great, yes, I'm done with these 4 years. Let's turn the page. Let's go back to Trump. It's such a confusing and bad campaign. I think it really comes down to how bad she is as a candidate. And my guess is November 6th. I've been there twice, once as a winner and once as a loser when I was at the RNC, and everybody points fingers. And my guess is that the Biden folks are going to point a lot of fingers at Kamala and say, we did everything we could for this woman. She's a horrible, horrible candidate, which is why we never liked her in the first place.
Yeah, you can't fix no matter how many edits CBS does. Vito Fossella.
Hey, Sean, good to be with you. The one common thread of anybody who's won is authenticity. And I think in addition to just this confusing answers, there's no authenticity to this candidacy or the candidate. And I'm curious if you have the same view. And in addition, in the so-called undermining her campaign, do you see more happening from the president's team, President Biden, that is, to seek to undermine her a little more than what's been happening the last couple of weeks?
Well, first of all, I think that they're just going to make it clear that, hey, we had our way. We were like, the Biden team wants to preserve his legacy, and their view is, we did everything we could to give her the advantages that we thought she needed. We got out of her way. They ignored our advice. It's very much the way I think the Al Gore team dealt with Bill Clinton, is they kept him at an arm's length. I think there were some ways, if she loses Pennsylvania, which I predict she will, the Biden team in particular is going to point to her and say, we were basically the native son there. We could have done a lot for you. And I think they're, like I said, I just will leave it at this. I think there's going to be a lot of finger pointing when it comes to her. And to your original point, look,
Sean, the control booth is yelling at me. We got to take a hard break.
But you own the station, John.
I know, but we want the advertisers to pay. We want to have you on more often.
Come back again
you got
soon,
a deal.
Sean.
I love you. I love the way you talk.
I would just tell you, when Saturday Night Live mocks a Democrat, you know you're in trouble. If you haven't seen how they mocked Kamala this weekend.
Oh, boy, did they.
We saw it.
Sean, thank you. We love you, Sean.
Bye-bye.